She's April.
And she's Molly.
And we are
the Book Besties. What the F is wrong with this family?
Damn, this family is fucking weird.
Theory. Everybody's tripping on mushrooms.
They fuck their cousins. Cool.
That house is more a character than the elevator in Grey's Anatomy. That could be like the summary of this book. Weird shit.
You want more of us? We'll give you more of us.
Hey.
Hey, you. So what do you think of our fancy new music I found for this month?
Yeah, I mean, spooky music. Yay. I mean, it works. It works with the theme. So, I mean, I don't really know what you would do for banned books music. So,
silence.
Exactly.
How's your week been?
I forgot to wear eyebrows yesterday, and
oh, middle schoolers are mean.
Middle schoolers are mean. So I follow a few like vloggers that are like makeup artists and do the, makeup tutorials, and I don't know why, because I don't know. I mean, I like makeup a lot, like I do. So I just don't know why I follow them, but I have one that I really, really like, and I was watching one of her videos, and she was talking about how she puts her foundation on after she does her eyes, because then she doesn't get, like, the drops of, like, eyeshadow, and it gets into her foundation. So I was like, oh, yeah, I'm going to try that. So she calls it fallout. So I started doing that this week, but now that I'm doing things out of the normal order and routine, I didn't realize I didn't have my eyebrows on. I thought I looked weird. Like, I was looking at myself in the mirror, and I'm like, I don't really look like myself today.
But it was early.
It was early. Like, I get up at 5:30 to be to school on time. And so I was like, oh, it's fine. Whatever. I've had a garbage week, and I'm garbage, and whatever. It's fine. And then I made it, like, through, like, 3 hours of the day, and I was like, oh, so I don't have eyebrows. So that's why I look like this. And yeah, middle schoolers are little judgmental meanie heads. I mean, they were actually kind of nice about it, but it was sort of like, why do you look this way? I
don't know. I have been blessed.
Recessive genes.
I've been blessed to get the option to choose my own adventure when it comes to eyebrows.
Yeah.
So our first TikTok went up this week as well.
Yay! We're on TikTok now. Everybody go follow us.
Which April's already quit.
Yes. So I joined TikTok so that I could share our stuff, and quickly realized that that's not how TikTok works, and that's dumb. So I quit. I do not get it. I watched a few videos, and I was like, wow, this is really I mean, I'm sorry we're on this platform now, so please go and like us and share it.
I got it under control, gang. I got it under control.
But it's toxic. It's not good. I did not like what I saw. And I mean, other than going and watching Hank Green videos, but so yeah, I quit within an hour. I watched I set it all up, and then I watched a few videos and texted you how the hell do I share our video? And I'm texting my friend Megan. Hi Megan, I love you. And I quit. And Megan reminded me that I quit TikTok faster than I quit Twitter. I lasted on Twitter about 3 hours. My profession is very liberal-minded. We've talked about that before. And I'm a conservative. And so some of the librarians on Twitter kind of attacked me. And I was like, oh, and I'm done with Twitter.
Peace out.
I'm done. So Facebook is my jam. I like Facebook.
Well, it's a simpler application.
Yeah, I'm old, so.
And TikTok has, sorry about my headphones. TikTok has all these weird, you can stitch something, you could do edit, you could do this, you can do this. I don't get it. There's so many options to interact with a video that it's hard to figure out where to start.
I do need my students to kind of teach it to me, because we're going to be doing a unit, because I teach a class on media. And so when we do that at the end of the semester, I promised them if they get through all the hard stuff, I would do new media. And so TikTok is going to be part of it. And I'm just going to have them teach me TikTok.
Which would be, that's a great project for them as a group to be explain TikTok like you're talking to your grandma.
And here's the thing. It's higher level learning to ask students to do the teaching. So I'm actually going to be like high level teaching, and it's going to be a rock star moment. And then I don't actually have to learn how to use TikTok because that was terrible. I hated it so much.
As much as you hate this week's book?
I didn't hate this week's book. I didn't hate it.
So, besties, we're in spooky season. Last week we did Frankenstein, and and this week is Mexican Gothic by Silvia Moreno-Garcia. Which, what the ever? This book is trippy, boo-boo.
What the F, double F, is wrong with this family? What the F? Like, what in the world?
Do you want to do a synopsis before we get into our conversation?
Yeah, sure. Although I have to say, I didn't realize you had the physical book. I read the audiobook.
I bought the physical book because I wanted it in my collection, but I also heard there was an old horror cover in it.
Oh, is there?
Look how beautiful that is.
Ooh. If you're on YouTube, check this out. It is gorgeous.
It is.
I mean, I like the cover. I like the original cover too. I think it's
the original cover is gorgeous.
Very beautiful.
But this classic horror cover,
that is straight gorgeous.
So, I also had it because I wanted to tag different pages, and I also wanted to have Beth read it because sister loves the books, you know. Yeah. So.
It's not one that I wanted to add to my collection just because this isn't my genre, but I did read the audiobook. So, okay,
I like the audiobook a lot too. But, okay, so synopsis. So, Mexican Gothic is set in the 1950s in Mexico. Our leading lady, Naomi, lives in Mexico City with her family. Her father gets a letter from her cousin, Catalina, and her cousin's fiance, Virgil. It's like simultaneous. It's a weird like combo of telegrams and letters. And in the letters, we learn that Catalina isn't well, and Naomi's father bribes her to go and check on her cousin in the countryside of Mexico. Right. A bunch of weird shit happens. So let's get into it.
Weird shit.
Okay.
That could be like the summary of this book. Weird shit.
So I want to start with, I think one of our key conversation points throughout this is she a heroine? So let's start there. Is Naomi a heroine?
All right, so I think she is. I mean, ultimately, she's the only character in the book that doesn't like fall under the possession, for lack of a better word, of whatever those shrooms were. What did they call them?
It was mushrooms, but it was I don't know.
But he called them something specifically, and now I can't remember. But she's the only one that didn't fall under that. No. So like, I mean, she's like the hero, right? I mean, she's the one that, like, saves the day. I mean, even like, her cousin was under that influence, and even like,
but her body, like her cousin couldn't handle it. That was the reason her cousin was getting so sick. Is her cousin couldn't handle. I mean, all the crap.
But I do think it's a little weird that, like, I think it's weird that she was able to fight it because, the gloom. That's what they call it. The gloom. I think it's weird that she was able to fight it because, like, the gloom had a higher concentration and involvement with her than it did with Catalina. Right. Like, Noemi was really under the control of it from jump. Like, it got her from the beginning.
When I first started reading it, I thought that was just like she was tripping balls because of black mold in her bedroom, and there was no ventilation. Like,
so as I'm reading it, besties, I actually texted Molly and I was like, "Theory." Everybody's tripping on mushrooms. I mean, there are a lot of references to mushrooms. Like, it's not just like what's growing in the walls and the gloom.
Francis is picking mushrooms in the graveyard.
Yeah,
they talk about how they take spore samples throughout. Like, there's
and there's mushrooms in like every one of their meals, and like the cooking and cleaning staff is always like cleaning mushrooms and cooking mushrooms, and like there's a lot of references to mushrooms. So like it was definitely like foreshadowing.
This is part of their religion,
right? Fucking weird. But yeah, I mean, I definitely think she's a hero. She's sort of like, I in my notes I write, she's ultimately the only person in this book with the ability to fight the mushroom power like some sort of Princess Peach badass. And like, that's how I felt about it. Like, she's not gonna, I mean, the gloom did, overtake her at times, but she was able to fight it. And I mean, she even saved Francis from that.
Right.
Maybe, possibly.
Right.
Well, I have thoughts on that.
I have thoughts on that too. So I agree with all of this, by the way. I think she is a heroine. But I have one more question for you.
Yeah.
Is she boy crazy, or do you think it's a product of the time?
No, I don't think she's boy crazy. Like, she doesn't have any ambition to get married. Like, that's not her thing. She wants to go to school. There's even that boy that she's like seeing before she leaves, but she's like, I don't want him to think we're serious because we ain't. Like, I'm not writing to him because he can't get ideas.
But she's constantly consuming her time with talking about if these men in her past like her, if they don't like her, what they could do for her, if they're marriage material. I think she's boy crazy, but it's a product of the time.
So, I mean, I think maybe that discussion is just a product of her age and maybe the product of the time, but like, she doesn't want to sacrifice what she wants for them.
Right.
I think that makes her the opposite of boy crazy.
Which is completely out of the box for somebody in this era.
Absolutely. And not just talking about the 1950s. Like, we're talking about the 1950s in Mexico where women didn't even have the right to vote yet, which, I mean, I didn't know that, but I learned that from this book.
Right.
So, like, her life was whatever daddy says and then whatever husband says. So, I mean, I don't think she's boy crazy. I think she's actually fighting against that. She does go to help Catalina because her dad agrees to let her go to school.
Right.
And like, for her, that's what she wants.
Right.
So, and I also think in some ways she might just be a little flighty. Like, I don't think that's boy crazy, but like, she doesn't really know what she wants to do.
How her age, because she's,
right.
Like,
it's
really
absolutely
young.
That.
And
yeah, she's like in her early 20s probably?
Yes. I think, exactly. I think she's in her early 20s. She wants to, I think she was talking about getting her master's, right?
Yeah, in anthropology, which what a case study.
Right. And I really think she's a very bright girl, but I think she's very young. And I think that's written in the writing. You see it when she talks about her clothes. She's really into her clothes. She's really obsessed with smoking. I don't know if she thinks it's a sign of status or if it's
that probably is. I mean, you think about the 1950s. If you're smoking, you were cool.
If it's just, I mean, it was obviously an addiction, but there's a lot of different things that symbolize who she is as a person without talking about her directly.
Yeah.
So since we're talking about the setting, what did you think of the choices to set this in Mexico in the 1950s? Because it's not traditionally a horror setting or a thriller setting, right?
Yeah, so I thought it was really an interesting choice. I had a hard time knowing what time period we were. I mean, I guess they probably told us, but like I kept listening.
It took a while to get there, right?
Yeah, I did. All I knew was like based on like the way she was dressing, but like who knows? Because like the 1950 style dresses are still in. Like I own several like skirts and dresses that are very 50s-esque. But it was definitely a choice. I didn't realize until I read the article that you posted in our like discussion notes, and we'll definitely link that below, that this house is based on a real house.
Right.
And a real place. And I mean, obviously, well, let's hope they weren't like cannibal mushroom snorters, but
cannibal mushroom snorters. Not for everyone.
Not for everyone. That's like the synopsis of this book. Everyone is a cannibal mushroom snorter. But yeah, I thought that was an interesting choice. I definitely think calling it Mexican Gothic, you can play with that timeline whenever you want. I mean, I thought it was an interesting choice. I don't know that like it was the best choice. I think you could set it more past.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. Do you think this would this storyline would work differently in a different time frame or different setting.
Yeah, so I think further back in time, like we're not really that far
1800s?
Removed from the 50s. I mean, I would say turn of the century and early 1900s would be where I would put it, like not the mid 1900s. To me, that just is a better setting for some sort of like gothic horror.
Right.
But again, this isn't my genre. And like, I mean, Stephen King's writing books that are taking place today, and they scare the.
Right.
I don't even want to read them. They're so scary.
I found it refreshing. After, I mean, Stephen King really has the corner pegged on modern day horror, right? Modern day thrillers, and there, you have the traditional. And then something like this comes around, and you don't get this very often. You don't get this pace. You don't get this storyline. You don't get Silvia Moreno-Garcia. I am so sorry, hun. Nailed it, I think.
I think it's Moreno.
Silvia
Moreno-Garcia.
I think she really nailed it, especially trying to set a pace and change in a horror lane. I dig it. I wouldn't call it horror, though.
Yeah,
this is
more
a thriller
suspense
to me. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's when you think of Gothic, you're not necessarily thinking like horror. You're thinking more along the lines of Frankenstein. So it's like a little creepy, right?
Right. Which isn't even in a horror category. It's a romantic novel.
Well, but you find it at Barnes and Noble in the horror section, folks, because that's where I had to go. So I also like that this book takes place in another country that isn't Europe.
Right.
Like, I feel like a lot of scary books, when they don't take place in America, they are in Europe. Mm-hmm. And this being a Mexican city, I thought that was an interesting choice. I have to share with you my least favorite part about this audiobook, and it was not the text. I actually didn't hate this book. Like, this is obviously not my genre. We've said that before. Right. I know it's more your speed, but it's not mine. But I didn't hate this one. I thought it was really well written. I liked the pace of it. Like, I thought it kept a good pace. I felt like it was creepy enough that I could like get involved but not hate it. But I did not like the narrator of the audiobook. I really took issue with the narrator of the audiobook. You set this book in 1950s Mexico.
Right.
And half the characters are British.
Right.
Which I didn't even realize there were British implants in Mexico. Like, I didn't know that. But the narrator could not do a British accent very well. Mm-hmm. And everyone had a British accent. And she used Noemi's voice was an American accent.
Yeah.
And I'm really bothered by that. Like, I'm thankful that they picked a Latina woman to narrate the book. Like, thank you for picking someone who represents the character. But I wanted to hear a Mexican accent.
Right.
Like, I wanted to hear that because that is what Noemi would sound like.
Right.
And I was really bothered by that.
Right.
And I don't know if they were, the publishing of the audiobooks were concerned that, like,
I think they wanted to reach a broader range, and there are people that judge things based off of people's accents.
Yeah, but they're not going to read a book called Mexican Gothic anyway.
You never know. But
I don't know. It just bothered me. I wanted to hear a Mexican accent. Yeah. That's what I wanted to hear.
Right.
And yeah, I was bothered by that. There's no reason that 1950s Noemi in Mexico sounds
would have
American.
had a modern day American, Mexican American accent.
No.
Yeah.
No. She didn't have any sort of accent. She sounded American.
Right.
Like, she didn't even sound like someone who was born in another country and then like raised here in America or was raised in a Latinx family and has a bit of an accent. She had no accent at all. You know what I'm talking about because you live in Texas.
Right.
So you know there are people in Texas who are Mexican who are raised in Mexican families even though they have been born in this country and they've lived in this country for generations and they still have an accent. She had no accent.
Houston has such a diverse Hispanic community in general. There are so many people from South America. There are so many different accents that it's one, they're fluid because of all the families eventually having come together in the community that is Houston. But I lost my train of thought. You're right.
I forgot to do this.
Yeah.
So that is my big for this book. I did not like the audiobook accents.
So is the house a character itself?
Oh, 100%. That house is more a character than the elevator in Grey's Anatomy. Like, straight a character. Literally, the house is alive. So
right. It is. It is feeding off them. It is like consuming their thoughts and
right. And it's literally growing because it's these mushrooms that are like spores and they're growing. But it's also, we find out at the end of the book that it's attached to like a woman's brain. So like it's literally.
It was which wife? It was the first wife, right?
Right. It was the first wife. Okay, so let me clarify though. Because I can't remember if this was right. So he came back. The creepy old cannibal dude came back with a wife who was Mexican from this like native Mexican community, right?
Victor, yes.
And he came back with a wife who was a part of this.
Virgil, yes. Virgil went to Mexico City to find a wife.
No, not him. The old man.
The old dude. Okay, the old dude married his cousin.
Yeah, but before
and then
that,
his cousin's sister.
Yeah, but before that, didn't he marry the woman who's actually in the grave? Wasn't she, like, he went to the people who, like, were... Are you buzzing me? Like, are you mad at me?
I hit it on accident. I went to go grab the book.
Wow. So no, he goes to
I thought that was the first wife, the cousin wife.
So yes, I think his first wife was the cousin. Oh yeah, that makes more sense because that's why her grave says mother. Yeah, because she's the mother of. Okay, that makes more sense. I got confused because didn't he bring a woman back with him from the?
Yeah, but she fled. I think.
No, that was Virgil's first wife.
Okay. Damn, this family is fucking weird.
Well, and they've been alive for like 300 years.
Yeah.
So
and like he's gonna transplant his body into freaking yeah. Anyway. So
and I thought that was a good plot twist, by the way, that it was Francis's body that he was going to overtake and not Virgil's.
Poor Francis.
Because I thought for sure Francis was like a good guy. Like I was wanting to root for him.
But I feel like, okay, how do you feel about the Doyle family? Since we're talking about them, what, as characters, how do you feel about them?
I mean, they're disgusting.
Right.
I mean, they're disgusting.
They inbreed.
Yes, so they inbreed.
They use science as a reason.
Yeah. Well, it's not science. It's immortality. It's...
Well, he talks about genetics and, like, strong genes and that shit,
whatever,
you know?
Whatever. That's bullshit. That sounds like somebody who is trying to justify...
Rationalize their behavior,
their psychotic behavior. They're cannibals. I mean, they're eating dead babies after they're born.
Yep.
Which, because the babies aren't surviving because they're marrying their cousins and their sisters and things. And, like, so, of course, these babies are dying.
Sister cousin, because the second wife was his wife's sister.
Yeah, gross. Gross.
And he's older than molasses. He can't even get out of bed.
He's 300 years old.
Right.
He's that old. The reason he's in poor shape, though, is because his daughter shot him.
Right. And
tried to kill everyone.
She's haunting that house, right? I got that right.
Mm-hmm.
She's haunting that house on top of the house being a living organism as a spore.
Well,
she's haunting the fucking house.
Well, Francis explains it as her not actually haunting the house, but she lives in the memories which the house controls. And I think the fact that the house is supposed to be connected to the wife's brain, that's how all those memories can live in there. But they literally describe this woman like floating in the in like the mushroom
haze or whatever. Yeah.
Whatever. And they describe her like her eyes are gone. Like, I mean, she's decayed. It's been like a few hundred years. So how is her brain still functioning?
Mushroom.
Like, I don't even need to ask Nurse Katie if that would work. It does not work. That's not how this works.
# sci-fi. So is Francis a redeemable character by the end of this book?
I think Francis, like, honestly, I wanted him and Noemi to get together. I could tell from the beginning that he like loved her, like jump. Mm-hmm. He was like, she got in the car and he was like, yep, that's the one for me. However, I like that there's this vagueness to the ending, that it's sort of like, oh, but he might not be able to escape this. Like, it might still control him.
The book is definitely open-ended.
Right. But I read in that article that you posted that she is not planning to make a sequel. Like, that's it. Right. It's supposed to end like that. And I like that. I like that she's like, you know what? I'm going to leave it out there, because that actually makes it scarier, right? That makes it scarier. Right.
And, like, I think, I have a question about this, but I think Naomi has a true feelings for Francis.
I think so. Mm-hmm.
And, I think it's real, and I think that she has this need to fix others.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And Francis is broken.
Yeah.
Right? And that is like her being like, it's okay, we're going to go see my dad. He's going to help us work this out. Right? And I feel like that's her saying, it's not a big deal. It's fine. And even though Francis is like super worried.
Well, I mean, I think it's comforting that Francis is worried about it. Like, you are owning your shit, basically, you know?
Right.
I can't remember who it was, but somebody, I was worried I was being a bad mom, like when I first became a mom, right? We all have those fears. And, it was Dawn, my other best friend. And she said, you know how you know you're a good mom? Because you're worried you're not a good mom.
Yeah.
Like, the fact that he's worried that this might still control him, even though he wants to fight against it, and even though he loves Noemi, I think like that proves that he wants to be better. But I mean, technically, are they married now? I mean, was that a real marriage? Like, are they really married?
Like, I have legality questions about that. Like,
yeah. I mean, it was against her will, although I think she does care for Francis. I don't think she was ready for marriage.
And I don't think
anybody even qualified to marry them.
And I don't think Francis was, I mean, Francis really digs her, but I think he was marrying her because the uncle said he had to, right? His mom and it was said he had to, right?
Go along with the plan until you can escape the plan, right?
It's a matter of dealing with the situation.
At the very least, they've never consummated their marriage, because instead of doing that, Victor tried to rape her, so...
Who is disgust? God, Virgil's the worst.
Virgil, not Victor. Virgil, sorry.
So,
man, I'm sorry. I'm off my game
because we just did Victor Frankenstein last week.
Yeah. I'm off my game, besties. I'm sorry.
It's okay. This book brings a whole new meaning to the term magic mushrooms.
Oh, gosh.
Do you feel like this being a part of the storyline is original?
I think it is. I mean, I don't know. Usually when we think of like mushrooms being a part of a story, I would think fantasy.
Right. Or like, a coming of age story or a coming of age story where like they're doing mushrooms to like trip balls and like see other worlds. But
also, that was a plot on Grey's Anatomy this week.
Yes, it was indeed.
I think it was an interesting choice. It was definitely different.
It was original.
And I think the way that mushrooms grow and flourish when they shouldn't, it's definitely very symbolic of this family. Like they should not.
They should not exist, but for some reason, without lightness, without food or water, and in the dark and muck, they still survive. And it is definitely a comment to the Doyle family. And I think the Ouroboros is a hint to the whole incest thing, right? Because the Ouroboros, the family seal. Is,
right, yeah. Sorry, I couldn't remember what it was. I couldn't remember what that was. But yeah, it's like the snake eating the snake. Oh, is there a picture of it in the book? Oh.
It's a snake. Is it focusing?
Yeah. I mean, I can't see it, but I'm sure it's focusing.
It's a snake eating its own tail, but it's like in knots. It's like...
Yeah. Okay, so have you ever read Edgar Allan Poe's The Cask of the Amontillado?
Yes.
So that's actually the same family seal that's mentioned in the Cask of the Amontillado. So when they started talking about that, I was like, ooh, that's a really good literary reference. Smart.
Yes.
Smart.
Well, it definitely...
And I love those things.
Yes, it is very... I mean, it's definitely... this had Poe vibes for me, even before we even got to talking about the seal, right?
For sure.
It's such a great reference to the incest, right? We don't learn about the incest till way later, and it's like, oh, it's an infinity sign. It's just going back and forth, and you're like, oh, they fuck their cousins. Cool.
Molly gets it said. Yeah. I mean, I definitely got Poe vibes from it, and I think that's really cool because you don't get a lot of Poe vibes these days.
And I mean, this new
because the genre has changed. But
I like this dark, gloomy feel. Poe writes with this sense of hopelessness, and I feel like she nails that. Silvia nails that feeling, that sense of hopelessness.
Right.
That, I mean, Naomi has no idea if she's getting the hell out of this.
Right.
Right.
None whatsoever.
She even went to town, and but she was tracked the whole time. She had to go back. Right. It's just wild. So, did you like it? Minus the whole fact that this is like one of the scary books. Did you like it?
I think it'll be
another one of her books?
Probably not, just because it's not my genre, but I think she's a really smart writer. I loved the literary references. I thought she did a really great job with foreshadowing. Like, this is the kind of book that I could bring into an English classroom. I mean, not in a high school or middle school, but like in a college English setting. Class.
Yeah.
And we could rip and discuss the hell out of this book because there's just so much there. And so the English teacher and the librarian in me loved that side of it. I didn't hate it. I don't know that it's not going to ever be a favorite book of mine, Yeah. But I honestly think, so I'm listening to The Bone Garden, which we have coming up later this month. And to me, The Bone Garden is scarier.
Yeah, it is. But that's
so much scarier than this one.
That's like science fiction, not science fiction. That's thriller, but there's
there's historical fiction part of it.
There's crime in there.
Right.
It's The Bone Gardens hits on a lot of different genres. Which do you think this belongs in a horror genre, or do you think it's more science fiction?
Oh, yeah, it plays that line really close.
It does.
And I think I said this last episode that you could be genre fluid. And this is very
Mexican Gothic
genre fluid book.
It's got sci-fi. It's got that thriller aspect. Mm-hmm. There's mystery in here.
Yeah.
Right?
And I mean, there's also references. This was a good one to do after Frankenstein because there's also references of building your companion, right?
Right.
I mean, there's what's the author's name again? Silvia Moreno-Garcia or Moreno?
Garcia, yeah. Morano.
I would have to actually look at her bio, but I would say that she has studied a lot of books. She's probably an English major, or if not, a master's of English and Fine Arts, because just there's so much here where she's a smart writer. And is this her first book too? Do we know that?
New York Times bestselling author of critically acclaimed spectacular novel God of Jades and Shadow, Signal to Noise, Certain Dark Things, and the Beautiful Ones, and a crime novel called Untamed Shores. She has edited several anthologies, including World Fantasy Award winner She Walks in the Shadows. She lives in British Columbia, it just says. Vancouver.
Yeah, she's Mexican Canadian, so that's interesting.
It is.
So she has a new book. So I think Mexican Gothic won Best of the Year according to the New Yorker, NPR, Washington Post, Book Page, Book Riot, Audiophile, Library Journal, Electric Lit, Vanity Fair, and Marie Claire.
It is one of the freshest. It is a fresh take on this genre, for
100%,
sure.
100%. It looks like she has a new book that came out this year.
That. Yeah.
Velvet Was the Night, and that one starts it's in the 1970s in Mexico City. So and that one, just the cover looks a little scarier to me. But I have to say, like, I just saw her short little bio. And she's 40. And so what the fuck am I doing with my life?
I say this all the time. I haven't finished a damn... Anyways.
Here we go. She's a columnist for the Washington Post as well.
Damn, kid.
So
get it, girl. Silvia, you are a rock star, lady.
I was right. She. Oh no, her master's is not in English.
What's it in?
It's in science and technology.
Okay, you can see that. You can see that.
Her thesis is available online. Magna Matter: Women and Eugenic Thought in the Work of H.P. Lovecraft. Oh, okay. So
I love H.P. Lovecraft. You can feel that. Oh, that makes complete sense now. Oh, that makes so much sense.
Okay, yeah. So
that makes so much sense.
I feel like we're now good podcast people that we look this up as we're doing the podcast. Probably should have known.
It happens all the time.
But hey,
Silvia, we love it. We will be more than happy to preview your next book if you come on.
Yeah, or send us an art copy and we can preview.
We're getting really big in Portugal and Ireland, so we do have fans.
Shout out to our Portugal and Irish fans. Portuguese? Is it Portuguese?
Yeah. My dear friend, her and her whole family just moved there. Hi, Hillary. And I asked her when that came up, I texted her and I sent her the screenshot and I go, are you just attacking every Irish person you see and telling them to download my podcast? She goes, I'm trying.
Hi, we're new to this country. Please listen to my friend's podcast.
Have a good day.
That's all.
So back to this book. What did you think of the symbolism of the staff not speaking?
I mean, it definitely shows the control that the mushrooms have. That Virgil, what was the old man's name?
I don't fucking know, man.
Gosh,
we are terrible podcasters today?
Yeah, what the fuck is wrong with us?
I
don't know. Whatever his name was, I don't have a copy of it. Molly does because I listen to it.
Keep talking. I'll find it.
But I thought it was really interesting to just show that, like, outsiders could be so controlled. It wasn't the house staff being controlled that bothered me so much, although, like, this is being made into a Hulu series. We'll probably talk about that a little bit later, but I can just picture, like, the zombie faces, and then they, like, start to wake up, like, where the F am I? But the fact that it controlled all of the miners was far more impressive to me. Like, an entire population of Mexican miners was controlled by this power that these mushrooms gave him. Like, I might need some of those mushrooms because, like, not to become a cannibal or an incestuous person, but, like, I just need to be awake more.
Right.
So, do you think it would help me with that?
Maybe. I mean, we could sure hell's try.
We are not advocating drug use, friends.
No. I mean, if it makes your heart happy.
No, we're still not advocating drug use.
Howard is Virgil's
father.
Howard. Leland
300-year-old man.
And Leland is the sister? That sounds right. Ruth is the daughter that killed herself.
Killed
everybody.
Yeah.
And this is Howard remarried Agnes. That's the second sister. Howard's first wife was Agnes. Okay. First wife was Agnes. Second wife was Alice. And they had two children, Ruth and
were
Virgil.
Sisters. Agnes and Alice were sisters.
Yep. That sounds right. That sounds right.
So what did you think about the servants being under this power?
I thought that they had taken, after, like, reading the whole book and looking back at it, it was like, oh, they ate so many mushrooms that they have no control over their body, that they are walking pieces of the house. I thought they were fixtures of the house, and probably, I'm surprised she didn't, maybe she edited it out, I don't know, but hinting that the servants had a distinct smell might have helped, give Naomi this hint that something wasn't right with them. Maybe making them smell like they were, decaying.
Well, because they talk about that with Howard.
Right.
He smells
right.
decaying.
And like, it feels like that the house is controlling the servants, or Howard's controlling the servants, not anyone else. And the fact that they can't speak, I think, is just the fact that they don't have enough power. Right. They can run the bodies and make them do the functions, but they don't have the brain capacity, you know?
Right. They can't actually do the they can't control their own emotions or thoughts or whatever. Like, they're completely under the spell.
Right. So this is going to be made into a Hulu show.
It is.
Mm-hmm. Do you think you'll watch it? I know I will, but
I mean, maybe with Tom, because he and I like watch TV together, and like every show that we love besides The Rookie is like now not on TV anymore. Like, we're just down to The Rookie. So
you guys are doing Doctor Who right now.
Yeah, but I do not like the 12th Doctor, man. I'm struggling.
I'll find you a new show. I don't disappoint.
I miss Doctor the 11th Doctor, and
I know
Rory and
Pons.
Yeah.
Come along, Pons. Come along. So River, you might watch it.
I don't know. Probably not. Like, it's not going to be something that I'm like pushing for. But I'll have to say, like, there's always Hulu series that I'm like, oh, that looks really good. And like, I've literally only watched 2 original Hulu series. Like, I just haven't really.
I don't know.
3. I've watched 3.
I feel like I've started a couple, and I feel let down by the second episode.
I don't do Hulu for like their original content. I do it so that I can watch TV without having cable.
Right. Same.
Although, I mean, honestly, we pay for Netflix so we can have like, you know, their original content. But all I do is rewatch Schitt's Creek. So they took Parks and Rec off of there, so now we own that on our. We have that a digital copy of it because.
I didn't know that. Now I'm sad.
Well, it's because of like the Peacock has it. But I hope with Nope, man. Hope with Nope.
With Nope. I will be very interested to see who they cast in this.
Yeah, they haven't started any work on it, right? It's just like it's happening. Yeah, that's all we know.
The IMDb page just says that it's like in pre-production. Mm-hmm. So casting will be interesting to see, and I really hope they go with a lot of lesser known actresses and actors. Mm-hmm. I feel like sometimes shows like Hulu and Apple, they take these big names to make the show get traction, but they don't have great content, you know?
Right.
What the heck is the new Mindy Kaling show on Netflix? Never Have I Ever?
Never Have Her. Yeah, Never Have I Ever.
That show is so good.
I've never seen it. It's been on my list since season 1.
It's so good. I haven't watched season 2 yet because momming ain't for the faint of heart. But so good. And she used very few actors and actresses on that show were very unknown.
But I feel like you get away with that when the characters are younger, but I feel like when the characters are older, you kind of need someone established. I don't know. I have a very clear image of what I'm picturing Francis to look like, and so if he doesn't look like that, I'm just going to be like, what the fuck?
Scrawny white dude? Scrawny white dude.
Yeah. He's got to have like an almost whitish blonde hair.
Right. Well, and for some reason, red hues. Very sad, soft ones, like that you can't.
I can get on board with that.
I feel like at one point his hair was really red, and like the world is just taking the light out of him.
And he needs to have the same expressions that Robert Pattinson has when he's playing Edward, and he looks like he's in pain, because like that is basically in a nutshell who Francis is. But Noemi better not come in with that Kristen Stewart shit, because like no,
because she's in pain.
No.
Do you have anything else?
Let me see here.
I do. I love the way Naomi describes her own cousin. Like, you can see how much she loves her throughout the book based off how she talks and speaks about her cousin. We didn't talk about her much. Do you have any feelings about the cousin and her plot and all this? Francis, was it? What the hell?
Catalina.
Catalina.
I mean, so you might not agree with this, but I feel like Catalina's purpose in all of this is just to be the catalyst to get Noemi there. I don't think like their relationship is really, I mean, we get the story of how close they were when they were kids, but I don't have a feeling that they've been close for a while.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's just because Catalina has gone away with Virgil and has been living with him and married him and all that. There seems to be an age gap between Noemi and Catalina. And I feel like they've just been in two different places in their lives for so long that like, it's not that I don't think that they have an affectionate relationship. I just don't feel like Catalina's character is there to be like a companion and sister-like character so much as she is there to be the catalyst to bring Noemi to the house.
So do you think Noemi wouldn't have came if the bribe wasn't on the table?
She was not doing it. There's no way. I do not think so at all. I mean, she did nice things for her. She went to get her the tincture.
Yeah.
But
which almost killed her.
Right. Well, I mean, she was trying to break her attachment to the
bond of the house. Yeah.
Right. And she did ask for a second physician, but I mostly think that she did all of those things because she had to do what she had to do so she could go to school to be an anthropologist.
Right. I also feel like the storyline of the mines and the miners and all that, while it gives us back history on why they came, the Doyles came, it feels useless to me. It feels unnecessary.
I mean, like, I guess it tells you, I mean, you get the idea that this family is cursed.
They honestly could have said that her dad is like in the, Naomi's father is in the paint business, right? They could have taken the sister out and the miners out and said that Naomi has to go, written this as Naomi has to go and build this bond with this family so that they can increase trades in the UK for paint, and the story would have been the same way.
However, Noemi's place would have never been that in the 1950s in Mexico.
Right. She
wouldn't have had any job in whoever she married would probably end up in her father's trade.
Right.
But I mean, obviously,
sounds like Francis is getting a new job.
Well, I mean, what else is Francis gonna fucking do with his life?
Go back to the UK and find the rest of his family?
I mean, his family is literally a straight line. There's no tree. It's just a straight line, right? So, I mean, and his family hasn't been in England for 300 years.
He was born there, so
yeah. I don't know. Well, I mean, I guess he's not 300 years old. That was just Howard. That was 300 years old.
So we know there is the mold/mushrooms running the house. Do you think the house was also haunted?
I don't know.
I feel
I have a hard time with that because I don't really. You want to hear?
Yes. Yes. So, you don't even have to finish. Yes.
So I don't really believe in ghosts. I believe in evil spirits. I think that biblically there's a lot of evidence that proves that there are evil spirits and that there are demons. But anytime that Tom and I have talked talk about moving into like old houses, especially like here in Virginia where there's like so many historical houses, I'm like, no, that house is definitely haunted. He's like, you don't even believe in ghosts. And I'm like, it's haunted. 100% the house is haunted.
Smudge it. Absolutely. It'll be fine.
Absolutely haunted.
You know enough. You have a friend that's a witch. Just ask her to come smudge it real quick.
I don't even know what that means. But I do have a friend that's a witch.
Sage it. It sages the house. It burns away the bad juju and all that.
Okay.
And it smells lovely. Final thoughts. If you have nothing else on this book.
I think this book, I'm glad I read it. It's a very popular book. I don't always get to read adult popular books.
Right.
Usually him only reading the teen books. And a lot of times that's by choice. I'm glad I read it. I didn't hate it. It's not my favorite book that I've read this year. I haven't read a lot of scary books that I've liked, and I did like this one, so that's mad props to the author. And I think a lot of that reason
is... Not to me for picking it for you?
Look, did you write it? No.
Rude.
All right, you get a little credit. You get a little credit for making
because I forced you to read it for the pod.
Yeah, but the reason I liked it is not because of it being scary or whatever. I liked it because she was so smart in her writing, and like
it was very.
I appreciate smart writing. So, how about you? Final thoughts?
I'll probably pick up another one of her books for sure.
Yeah.
I like her writing. I can see her influences. Mm-hmm. Now that you said something about her, like I could feel Poe right away, but the H.P. Lovecraft stuff is after you mentioned her, like her thesis. Yeah, I see it. Mm-hmm. I'd really be interested to see her use science and blend it into more of her storylines.
Yeah.
I don't need this thriller stuff. Like, that's not always my jam. But I like the historical settings. I like it set in the past. I love that kind of thing. So
I thought that she was going to get more into the eugenics.
Yeah.
Because the books were so heavily mentioned in it. And basically the only thing that she came up with that had to do with the eugenics was like, the only way to keep this bloodline pure is to like keep it in the bloodline, which now that I know she has a master's
that family
in
tree don't
eugenics,
branch, you know what I'm saying.
But now that I know she has a master's in eugenics, it makes me concerned as to what
I feel like
be her actual thought.
But imagine her putting a bunch of that in and handing it to an editor, and an editor going, nobody gonna understand this shit. Take it out. You know
I mean, you're probably right about that. I kind of thought they were building a person more like Frankenstein. Right. And I guess they sort of were by like taking...
Well,
I would have liked more information
into Francis and...
Right. I would have liked more information about how he actually did that. How he transferred himself into another body.
We'll never know.
Right, but like the end there was so fast paced that she like completely left that part out.
Right.
Right. But I thought it was really smart writing, and I did enjoy the book. It was good.
I did as well. Yeah. And I'm impressed you liked it because I was nervous putting this on the list. I really was.
I mean, when you told me you wanted to do a month of spooky reads, I was nervous from the beginning. I am very thankful, though. I got to tell everybody, I was trying to convince Molly to pick like a traditional scary books like Stephen King,
right?
Because I thought that would be like much more appealing to our audience. And I'm 100% thankful that you didn't, because how the fuck would I have read that book? Like, how would I have gotten through it?
I feel like, but okay, so this is a great conversation. What makes this spooky? Is it our point of view? It is definitely fitting for the month of October. Mm-hmm. If somebody is looking for something creepy and weird to read during this month, hell yeah, that's spooky.
Right.
I think, everybody reads Stephen King all the time. That is a cross-genre fan favorite. But I feel like when you talk about spooky season, it's analyzing things that may not come across your desk every day, right?
Yeah, and with Stephen King, I've actually read 2 Stephen King books, and neither of them were scary.
Which ones?
The Green Mile.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't think it was scary, but that's supernatural. That's like...
Yeah, and I can't... Oh, Shawshank Redemption.
Yep.
Which both of those books are... they were published as short story collections, like in a magazine over a period of time. Mm-hmm. I guess that technically I read a third book because he wrote a children's book that's like more fantasy, like there's dragons and stuff in it, and I read that when I was a kid. But I would never pick up like The Shining. No, fuck that. It would definitely be in the freezer. Like it would be like straight up like Friends. Like I would put it in the freezer like Joey does. That would not be my thing. But this one, this was definitely something I could enjoy. I just wish the narrator was more I wish the narrator was better. Mm-hmm. But other than that.
Good. Well, that's it. Oh, wait, next week, guys.
Next week.
Neil Gaiman, The Graveyard Book.
Yes.
If you haven't read this, pick up the physical book. Well, I did.
Illustrations are in it.
The illustrations are in it, which are really beautiful, which I'll show off next week. There's also a full cast production audiobook, which I listened to that along with skimming in this book. And the full cast production was fantastic. I enjoyed it immensely.
So I think that the full cast version is not what I have available to me on Hoopla, because I have two narrators. Okay, well, there are two narrators, but one of them is actually Neil Gaiman. So I thought that would be...
Neil Gaiman does the like final thoughts and author's notes at the end.
Oh. So when it's a full cast, like each of the ghosts has like their own...
Yeah.
What? That sounds amazing.
It's so good.
I don't know if anyone saw this. Sorry to side note here, but Neil Gaiman's Good Omens, which Molly and I are both fans of the show, and I haven't actually read the book
so much.
But the audiobook is coming out with a full cast, and it's starring Michael Sheen and David Tennant from the show.
It's going to be so good.
It's going to be amazing. All right, sorry. Go back to next week. My bad.
So next week is The Graveyard Book. Mm-hmm. It's award-winning. It's going to be amazing.
It won the Newbery, everybody. This is very exciting for Children's Librarian April.
It is for 10 and up. So we will try and keep language, but I make no promises. You guys know that.
Yeah, we won't be able to keep language.
But no. I look forward to having this discussion next week because I really enjoyed it. Enjoyed it.
I'm excited.
So, till next week.
And then we're gonna wrap out this spooky month book season with the Bone
Gardens by Tess
Grishin.
Grishin? I've already heard of Grishin. She's
done, I don't know.
She does like Rizzolio and Isles. She wrote writes the Will Trent series.
Oh, cool. I actually had to look up if that was the same series that Bones was based on, because they started talking, and then I was like, oh no, that main character is named Temperance Brennan, like the show. April.
I got this like out of Amazon's used book thing, and the owner left me a note on the invoice about how much he enjoyed this book.
That's hilarious. I'm finding that one to be pretty scary, but I'm not hating it. But it is pretty scary.
I won't do too spoilery, but there is a lot going on. Let's just say that.
Follow us on TikTok, everybody. We're on TikTok.
Also, I want to say, leave us a review or like on your podcast platform, because it does help. It boosts the pod.
It boosts us up.
It really helps us, and you want more of us, we'll give you more of us, but you got to help us. Help us help you.
And shout out to Portugal and Ireland who have embraced us.
Thanks, y'all.
Yeah, thank you.
Till next week, besties. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us on Book Besties. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Views discussed here are those of Molly and April and not those of anyone else. Today's book was Mexican Gothic by Silvia Moreno-Garcia. Your Book Besties are Molly Biggs and April Watkins. Editing by Thomas Watkins. And music is Halloween Pumpkin from purpleplanet.com. Don't forget to follow the Book Besties on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and YouTube. If you would like to contact the Book Besties, please email us at bookbestiespod@gmail.com.